I'm Jason Klamm, and this is the Comedy on Vinyl podcast. The years are 1963 and 1976. The albums are Funny Phone Calls, both with an F, and Alive, exclamation point. The artists, Steve Allen and Mike Warnke. One of those you might have heard of. My guest is Ross Blocher. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Jason. Nice to vinylly talk to you.
Oh, my God.
Has anyone used that
before?
before?
Nope. I should have expected that from you. I mean, I love your show, and I love your upsetting penchant for puns. So it's good. It makes me happy.
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I appreciate that, there's other podcasts out there who don't have any shame.
Well, it's appropriate. We're talking about Steve Allen.
Yeah, of course.
Who's also a witty man and a punster.
Yeah. I think, so your podcast is going to play into this, so it doesn't always happen that way. You know? So I don't always say, what do you do? But No Ross and Carrie is appropriate for both the albums we're talking about.
Yeah, so it's a show about investigating fringe science, the paranormal, spiritual claims, alternative medicine. And my friend Carrie and I, we try these things out firsthand. And we just try to base the podcast off of our experiences. What happens when you show up at the Church of Scientology, try to get in, take classes? How do they respond to questions? When do they ask you for money? So we just report on that, try to have fun with it, make it a comedy thing, but also hopefully informative.
Yeah. Well, it's a delight, and it's one of those things that it will get its hooks into you if you listen to one.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I do think, and we were talking about this, but I'm pretty sure the reason I started listening was Scientology.
Oh,
because I remember
a huge draw.
People the ads were like, they do this. I'm like, that does sound interesting. And then somebody said they basically, they had the balls to get into Scientology. I'm like, okay, that sounds like they actually.
And for years when we were doing the show, everyone just kept asking. Every conversation kind of went to, are you going to do Scientology?
Of course.
It was the number one request. We wanted to, but we were hesitant, for understandable reasons. But yeah, once we finally did, then that became sort of, before that we had joined the Mormon church and gotten baptized. And so that was kind of the main one everyone wanted to talk about. But now everyone wants to hear about Scientology. Of course. And so I'd say the most requested episodes at this point that we haven't done yet are Jehovah's Witnesses and Landmark Forum.
Which is Landmark?
Landmark.
I've heard of it.
Came out of the spiritual movement called Est, and now it involves kind of sort of like a multi-level marketing aspect it. And a lot of motivational speeches, and it just gets very culty very quickly from what we hear. So everything is on we have this crazy list, 13 and a half page equivalent long in 8-point font of ideas of things that we could do, and we get new ideas every day. So it's fun. As a part of this podcast, I've learned about all these things I never had any idea of, and we live in the perfect place, the Los Angeles area, to do this sort of thing. Yeah, because everything finds its way to LA.
I mean, it's if you want the opportunity to have a media presence, why not be here?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's so crazy when you'll talk about something that's literally that I pass every day, or it's just like, oh shit, that's what's going on there.
Right.
Like, oh god, there's so many cult leaders nearby.
That's what a Christian Science reading room is.
Right. Yeah. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, and I literally will block it out of my brain because I don't have
become part of the background. Otherwise,
yeah, that's amazing. I love it so much. So we're picking. Okay, so we picked Steve Allen. You picked Steve Allen. Who is a goofy man.
Yeah, you were showing me your voluminous collection of amazing comedy albums. But yeah, Steve Allen, what a talent.
I know.
I think most people who know of him for kind of inventing the late night genre, like the original Tonight Show. Yeah. He was the first host.
Right.
And he invented all the things like the man on the street interviews and the crazy stunts and the prank phone calls. And I think even today, the Lenos, the Conans, all of the current stable are still, I think, using a lot of those ideas that he pioneered.
Yeah.
And he was also a prolific musician. I think he holds the Guinness Book of World Records record for composing the most songs.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and
I had no idea.
Thousands. Wait,
this is blowing my mind.
I've got to look this up.
See, this is the thing. You bring a researcher onto your show, you're going to look like an asshole. And the album, this is going to be just incidental bullshit, but the one that I ripped and sent to you is the 83 re-release of this, which is weird to me that it's so popular, but I wonder if somebody's like, there must have been some other Either there's a growing interest in Steve Allen, or Steve Allen actively has this released, or there's a growing interest in prank phone calls, or it's just sitting around and somebody's just like, oh, let's just re-release something. I don't know. What do we have? You know, I can't tell. I wish I knew why this was released again in 20 years later.
What I love too is that it's called Funny Phone Calls, phone with an F, and it feels so raw. You know? It doesn't feel as produced as so many other albums of that sort would be. You know, you can see them making mistakes, and accidentally saying people's phone numbers, and trying to avoid that, and people catching them in the act, and
so good.
And all of it just feels so organic, and I kind of love how unproduced it feels.
Me too. Like there's you'll hear the beep beep that I guess was unavoidable as recording part of the phone call.
I guess
in the background.
Yeah, there was like 1 or 2 phone calls where you didn't hear that beep. But the people on the other side, they kept catching this. Like,
I get it, asshole.
Yeah, what's going on over there? What's this being recorded for?
Yep.
And it seems like at this time, people really knew this gig, this whole like funny phone call, this prank phone call thing, because they'd be saying, all right, so what radio station are you on? How long do you need to keep me on for?
Right.
Because clearly that was a thing. Like, you keep this person on the line and you win a prize.
Yeah. Which is so great. And it also, ironically enough, is creating skeptics live. Like, you're creating people who are like, come on. Like, not everybody catches on.
Right.
And none of them are cruel. I think we should point that out. They're not cruel. They're just dumb.
Right. Or they get savvy to it's funny, the savvier they are to what's happening, the more quickly Steve will try to lose them.
Yeah.
Like, all right, well, this isn't funny anymore. You're trying to run the show now.
And I also love, too, that there's not enough technology, obviously, because this is the 60s, to block out the audience. So people are like, what? I hear people laughing.
Oh, I know, which totally ruins the illusion every time, because you try to imagine how it sounds to the person on the other end. They get this phone call, sometimes in the middle of the night. Some of these calls were like, 12 o'clock or whatever, midnight. And so they're answering, and I can just, hear through their minds, they're hearing this concept like, beep. Beep, and then they're hearing an audience in the background, and so they keep trying to pass it off as, oh, well, sorry, I'm in a bar right now, and it's just, it's really loud, and these people are laughing at me. People, this is not nice. Stop laughing at me.
It's so dumb.
My mom was a huge fan of Steve Allen's, and so she got super excited when I got into Steve Allen, and I read this book called Inventing Late Night. It's the subtitle Steve Allen and the Original Tonight Show. And I got it signed by not only the author Ben Alba, but Jane Meadows, the widow of Steve Allen, who just died a couple of years ago. But the reason I really got turned on to Steve Allen was because here in L.A., for many years, there was the Steve Allen Theater on Hollywood Boulevard, which was connected to the Center for Inquiry. So there's that skeptical, critical thinking connection there. I was involved there with their book club and their independent investigations group to investigate the paranormal. And right downstairs, you have the Steve Allen Theater that puts on all these weird offbeat shows.
Shit,
like The Reanimator, or Edgar Allan Poe stories, or Emo Phillips, like all kinds of really fun alt stuff. And so at one point they were also, not only did they have his bust there in the theater, this giant Steve Allen bust, but they did a recreation of a show he did in later years called Meeting of the Minds.
Okay.
And he wrote these scripts with his wife and with others, and they would just be a bunch of people sitting around a table together. So you'd have like Alexander Hamilton and maybe Cleopatra and Charles Darwin, and they'd just pick a bunch of figures from all throughout history and have them kind of debate on some issue.
I love it.
Yeah, and it was totally brainy stuff.
Sure.
But they'd make it fun and put in just the right amount of comedy.
That's amazing.
So I got to see about 3 or 4 of these reproduced with the actors there playing it out and Jane Meadows in the audience. It was so cool.
That's amazing.
Because it had been done in public television back in the day.
And
Jane was often playing the Cleopatra or the Joan of Arc or whoever it may be.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah, I missed out on a lot of that because when I first moved out here, I honestly, interestingly enough, my first assumption when I saw the Center for Inquiry, not knowing what it was like, shit, was Steve Allen a Scientologist? That literally was my first thought. I didn't know. Because it was such a generic sounding term, I immediately assume, there's a cult attached. So I'm going to move on.
Fair enough.
Then eventually, I think I read something.
Steve Allen
used my eyes
was
to read.
a real critical thinker and very much involved in that. So he was all for science. He wrote a lot of books too. The guy was just prolific on so many levels.
Yeah.
He wrote a book called Dumpf.
Uh-huh.
all about like idiocy and and kind of remain an active commentator until his death, which I think was either late 90s or 2000, somewhere in that range. But yeah, clearly a brilliant guy.
To me, it makes me feel good about myself when I can see somebody's range of creation when they will do everything you're talking about and then release an album of stupid prank phone calls.
Yeah.
It makes me very happy.
I wondered if he maybe kept the audience around after one of his shows and said, hey guys, stick around. We're going to do some prank calls together for an album.
Right. Yeah.
That's how I picture
That's
it.
a good question. I don't know. They're pretty rich. I mean, it starts out with my car just went over a cliff and like and then like the punch at the end is just, well, sir, why do you need to have your car towed out of the cliff? No, off the cliff now.
Well, I got to get home.
It's dumb. It's so dumb. And the guy's onto it. And it's so weird because in listening to it, I'm like, wait, did he hire actors? And I'm like, no, I think that's legit how professionals spoke back then. It's just a very different way of speaking.
Yes.
And then...
Yeah, and it's funny because you hear like this little slice of life from the 60s of, how people responded to things and how they catch on to a prank in the act. Yeah. Oh, it's hilarious. And he goes into it clearly not knowing what's going to happen. And you can tell he hasn't even prepped the first line.
Right. Yeah,
the phone's ringing. He's like, what are we going to say to this person? And he really doesn't know.
It's so good. Also, there's this one. So when I first listened to this was last year when I was trying to listen to a comedy album a day and failed. Very difficult to do.
Oh, yeah.
When most of the albums suck. Like, it's just... most comedy albums aren't good.
Yeah, and that's a big commitment.
I got through like 120 of them. I want to say. So, that's about a third of a year. So
I'm impressed.
Right? And this was one of them, and I'm glad it was because it was like a reprieve. But it also, speaking of slice of life, I've literally never in my entire life heard somebody say, "What say?" when they're trying to get you to, and I now say it because of this album because it's adorable. It's
great.
The most adorable. I've never heard that before in my life. You would think by now I would have, I watch enough old shit, listen to enough old comedy.
What say?
What say?
That's great.
Yeah. There's something unique about the way Steve Allen
because you can tell exactly what you mean when you say that, but it has that nice little ring of antiquity.
It throws you completely.
Love it.
Is there a particular prank on here that stands out to you or a moment?
Oh man, well, I love the appeal to various celebrity guests that he would have in there. Oh, and just when people would doubt that it was him, so sometimes people would be, "Oh, it's Steve Allen, that's great," and other people are like, "No, you're not Steve Allen. Who are you really?"
Yep.
One time he really confused matters by saying he was Art Linkletter, who I got to meet once actually.
Really?
Yeah, Art Linkletter. He was in his 90s. I think 92. He gave the commencement speech at my graduation.
Holy crap!
From Woodbury University, and I was one of the commencement speakers. Oh, hey, I'm a great speaker. And so I was up on the stage with him, and my mom was freaking out because Art Linkletter was there the day Disneyland opened.
Yeah.
And so at one point Steve tells one of the listeners, or the callees, "I'm Art Linkletter," and then he changes it later, says, No, I'm actually Steve Allen. And the guy's like, "Okay, but who are you really?" And so then he's just grasping at straws, trying to come up with other names. Like, no, but really, I am Steve Allen. I don't know how to convince you now. We've lost that moment. I would say, I don't know, maybe my favorite one is where he calls up a couple ladies who are trying to rent out a room. And he uses the fake falsetto voice. And I'm trying to think of who he reminded me of when he did that. Shoot, because it was some other man trying to pretend to be a woman, but it was that kind of voice. But they saw through the ruse right away. But they were these sweethearts with a good sense of humor, and so they were egging him along, like, "Oh, Granny, when do you want to come over?" He's like, "Are you making fun of my voice?" That was amazing.
God, and if this album were done today, we would be, this shit is done on YouTube all the time, and it's just like, let's see how violent we can get people to act over the phone. You know what I mean? Where there's no charm. Where this is like, we're just gonna be cute with somebody.
Right. What extremes can we drive people to? But in this case, I think they were trying to engage with people's better natures.
Right.
And when things did start to get a little contentious, they would either end the phone call or let people in on the ruse.
Can I tell you something? All my brain is doing. So I directed a movie that was about a very big prank, right?
Okay.
And all I can think of, and things keep popping up more and more where people are like, "Oh, this prank and this prank and this prank." I had one of my interviewers force this one guy, we're like, what's the biggest prank you can think of that blew up into something? He's like, I don't know. I can't think of anything more than the subject of this movie. And then I made my producer say, what about Scientology? He's like, yeah, Scientology is kind of a prank. That's right. But I'm inevitably linking pranks to skepticism. And just because you're in the room, but there is something, and because we're talking about Steve Allen, I think there's something
a connection there.
But what is it? It's not a specious connection, I don't think. I think there's something where like I'm literally having fun with you, but I'd also like you to be aware that there's some truth behind what, because like he doesn't want to fool them 100%.
Right.
Know?
So this is where you come to the idea of the honest liar, which is a phrase that the magician James Randi, the famous founder of the modern skeptical movement, has been known as, and there's a documentary called An Honest Liar about him. It's really good, actually.
Good. It is good.
I recommend that to everybody. But the idea is I'm going to fool you, and then I'm going to tell you how I did it. Kind of this magician attitude. Penn and Teller are well known for that as well. And so I think there's a thread of that in there, that we're almost inoculating you against other scams. So now when you get the phone call from the guy saying, hey, I'm from Microsoft Support Services, and you have a problem with your computer, and so we're calling you to fix it, that you stop and say, okay, let's think about this. Well, let's contextualize this. All right, what's my name? And then they're lost, because they don't know who they're calling or talking to. And so I think it does serve that purpose. I don't know how much of a family podcast this is. I'm going to talk about Santa Claus. You like. Is that okay?
Yeah, that should be fine. So anybody who's got kids in the room, I love Santa Claus. He's a good man. He's a personal friend of mine. But take your kids out of the room. We're going to talk about his personal life. And there we are.
So like there's kind of a debate in the critical thinking community. Do you tell your kids about Santa?
Yeah.
And I did. Though I wasn't as active of a participant, but I, supported what was going on because I think it's a really useful exercise. No one escapes into adulthood with an intact belief in, Santa Claus, like he's actually going to bring me gifts. And so I think it's a useful exercise in like, everyone can kind of quote unquote lie to you, but this is a fun thing. It's a cultural thing. We're all participating in it, and it's a net positive. But then you can use that as sort of an inoculation, a key to sort of evaluate other things that come across your desk and say, okay, could these also be the things that we all say are true, but don't actually believe?
Yeah.
So in a way, I think you're onto something. I think what he was doing is kind of giving everyone just that little edge to say, oh, am I talking to a confidence man? Is someone getting their jollies? What's going on here in this situation?
Right. And there's seems to be joy the whole time. There's nothing in this album that reeks of, it just doesn't feel gross.
And that's important too, is that doesn't make you cynical or closed off to kindness or joy or fun in the world, that you can have a little bit of fun with it.
It's not dissimilar to the idea where some people seem to be so very afraid of understanding the science of like love, for instance. Knowing that there's a million chemicals happening, why does that change that you just feel magical as a result of those chemicals?
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Why try to downplay that or be afraid of it? The metaphor Richard Dawkins used in a book was called "Unweaving the Rainbow," and it was this fear that if we explain the rainbow in scientific terms, it'll take away its majesty. No, it makes it better.
It's the same with comedy. People hate when you break down comedy. I love breaking down comedy. I will give you the A plus B plus C plus whatever the fuck. Yeah. I'm interested in knowing how that works.
Right. What's a rule of thirds being played here?
Right. I used to be afraid of it. I used to be rule of threes. Well, it's okay.
I'm thinking of photography.
You are now thinking of photography. But I used to be so afraid of talking about comedy, and then I'm like, why? What am I ruining? What am I afraid of? Don't be precious about it.
Right. Like when we get hungry, we still want food, even though we know, it's just our stomach signaling to us that it's vacated whatever was there before. It's ready for new material. That doesn't make food taste any less good.
No.
And if you know that, cuddling with your spouse or significant other gives you oxytocin, that doesn't make it any less enjoyable.
No, it still feels, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
It's kind of more interesting, isn't it? Like, to me, life is more interesting the more you understand about it.
And I get maybe that's just our personality that we're particularly excited by that kind of analysis, but it doesn't ruin anyone's groove.
But I wasn't always. So it does take, it took a step to like become that. Like I was afraid, but I think it doesn't take much to be like, understanding a thing makes you enjoy it more.
You step over that threshold and it's rewarded. Yeah.
Right. I think so. We got deep for a moment, guys. I hope you all really deeply appreciate that.
Welcome to Comedy on Vinyl.
Yeah, right. Did you listen to a lot of comedy records at all as a kid, or no? Because you picked two that were in my collection. You didn't necessarily pick two you listened to as a kid. So.
Yeah, that's a good question. As a kid, I was raised very much an evangelical Christian.
Right.
And so I was listening to a lot of spiritual music. And, but I was also introduced to a lot of like black and white film.
Okay.
So I'd say that was more my connection with the past and some of these same figures like, Marx Brothers. And,
oh, good. All right.
It would be usually through film. Stuff like, Duck Soup rather than... Say.
Well, that makes me happy that you got to see Duck Soup, because that's the most fucking underground shit. It makes me so happy.
Or even like the TV shows, Whose Line Is It Anyway? That kind of stuff. Rather than the comedy albums.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I've reached a point where people even of my age, but definitely younger, most of the time comedy albums weren't a thing. It was, I saw all this shit on TV. We had everything available to us.
It's more as I got to like college age that then they're like, oh, you need to discover these greats and kind of where they came from. So that's where I get into stuff like Tom Lehrer I don't know if it's necessarily there's elements of comedy, but like the Kingston Trio, that was one that
was an accidental pun. I just feel like you said elements of comedy right after you said Tom Lehrer.
Goodness,
so I just feel like I should point it out.
That was entirely unplanned, but amazing.
It's beautiful.
Speaking of which, I did memorize the Element song.
Oh my god!
Because well, A, I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
And B, I have a really good. For some reason, I have this great memory. So, like, they can memorize stupid stuff.
That's awesome.
Like, I've gotten up to 600 digits of pi.
Jesus Christ.
Actually, I did get up to 1,000 for a bit. But
oh, my God.
Yeah, for some reason, I can do that. My dad was a math teacher. We had a competition about this early on. My dad was definitely the one who introduced me to Kingston Trio. But yeah, Tom Lehrer, I'd always loved the Element song. And I always thought in the back of my mind, I should memorize that. And then I saw an interview with Daniel Radcliffe.
Yep.
You've seen this?
Yes.
On the Graham Norton show, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he sings the Element song.
So gleefully.
And I thought, if a professional actor who memorizes things for life can do it, why can't I?
Yeah, of course.
And so I spent a couple days memorizing the Element song, and the best thing I ever did.
I wish I still had that. Once in college, I'm like, I'm going to learn the Modern Major General song.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I memorized it. And I just sat in my college dorm room for 2 days. Or no, I lie. It was an afternoon. I memorized it in an afternoon. Yeah, and it's a great, fun song, and it had all the notes, so I knew what I was singing about. That helped.
Same tune. Okay, yeah, I don't know that one from Pirates of Penzance.
Oh, my God, it is the same song.
It is?
Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't even drawing the connection.
Oh, yeah, no, Tom Lehrer stole that.
I'm an idiot.
I took that melody and
That's
just...
amazing. I love that we're both talking about the same thing.
And masterfully... put all these long words like antimony and selenium, like mixed them into a rhyme inside of the Pirates of Penzance tune. Amazing.
What was I going to say? Oh, no, that's the thing. The one thing I did memorize like this, it was fairly impressive when I was like 13. I had the Disney Encyclopedia of Characters that came out in like 92 or 93.
Now we're talking my language.
Yes.
I happen to work for Disney. That's my, I was going to say my side job outside the podcast. It's the other way around.
Right. And at some point, I could tell you the first cartoon any character appeared in up to 93.
Amazing.
And I thought I was going to be an animator. And that was like my thing. And now that's what I think back on now as a 37-year-old man. Like, what the fuck has happened to my brain? Like, it's all... I could still kind of do some of it, but it's gone.
That's a sad thing. You realize you don't use it, you do lose it.
It's gone.
It atrophies. I have a lot of knowledge like that. Like, I used to know a lot more about Star Wars than I still do. And baseball stats. I used to be like really into baseball for a few years. So yeah, those passions of your childhood, they can fade away. It's too bad. But yeah, still very much into cartoons. Totally an aside here, but just talking about reverence for awesome things from the past. Have you at all heard of the game Cuphead?
Yes, I want so badly to play it.
Oh yeah,
I don't play video games, but that I will play.
It's a hard game.
That's what I understand.
It's a tough game, but what they did is they recreated the 1930 style animation with the rubber hose, and they did such a good job. It's a beautiful thing to behold. We just had one of the animators, Tina Nawrotsky. She came and gave a talk about it. She's up for an Annie Award, and she came and gave a talk about it, and it was so cool. Blew my mind. Anyways,
it's just like the kinetics match the weight of everything matches the frame rate. It's stylistically perfect.
Right. They got the timing and all the characters are doing that kind of bob and weave, and it just feels like it's not just the 30s animation, but it's like the 30s you remember.
Yes.
Like they captured that
yeah.
feeling of the memory of what it should look like and made it modern. And yet it also moves with game mechanics. And they put in just the right amount of like color separation and grain. Oh, it feels so authentic and cool.
I could watch somebody break that down like a nerd, like, you know what I mean? Like I could, if somebody wanted to be like frame by frame, like tell me, oh yeah, and this is like, I would be fascinated.
Oh yeah.
I love it. Do you know, okay, this is going to go back to Tom Lehrer for a second because it's still technically on point. Do you know this story of like what happened to his archive?
No.
Well, you know that he famously at one point just said fuck it and stopped doing music like entirely.
Right. And one thing I know is like he doesn't care about anyone like copying his stuff or sharing his stuff.
No. He doesn't give a shit. But he also won't do interviews. I did call him up once, and his number's in the book. He's like, I don't do interviews. I'm like, okay. And so
he's still around, but
he's still around. Yeah, he lives in Santa Cruz. His number's in the book. So yeah,
that's my hometown.
Is it really?
He's in Santa Cruz.
Yeah, he's right around there. Because he teaches it. He at least taught at Santa Cruz.
Oh my goodness.
You didn't know that? That's funny.
So appropriate because it's a hippie town.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Amazing. Oh, but I was like living near Tom Lehrer. That's crazy.
Oh yeah. And I wanted to visit him, but I'm pretty sure I would be unwelcome. Not a mean man, but just he's allowed to be a human and private. Yeah. But the gentleman who Jeff Morris, who is Dr. Demento's archivist, is a big fan of Tom Lehrer, as you can imagine. Met him once, had dinner with him, and Tom Lehrer basically said, "Here, do you want this?" And he gave him a box of all of his masters because he just gave them away.
What?
So Jeff Morris has them. Jeff, he's been on the show. Jeff, I do hope you're going to do something with him if you haven't already.
Oh man,
because there's just so much potential
Sitting
there.
on gold there. Oh, what a brilliant mind. Yeah. His stuff is so loopy, and you never know what he's going to sing about. It's not necessarily political commentary. It's just whatever weird thing was in his mind that week.
But when it is, it's so good. Just like National Brotherhood Week, somebody was playing in something the other day, and I loved the shit out of that song. It's so delightfully inappropriate.
I'm just going to throw out a little shout out here to anyone who's a big fan of Tom Lehrer. My favorite modern day Tom Lehrer is a guy named Roy Zimmerman, still producing a lot of amazing, it's a largely political commentary, but it's just brilliant stuff. So throw that out there if anyone wants more of that kind of thing.
That's good. All right. I think I'm not going to say we have to stop talking about Steve Allen.
Okay.
But I do want to know what you think of Mike Warnke, which I think needs like a lot. We need a lot of setup for this guy.
You know what? You exposed me to this.
Okay, good.
And I'm so glad you did.
Okay, good.
Mike Warnke. This is amazing. So I was definitely influenced in my Christian upbringing by the Jesus movement of the late 70s into the early 80s. And clearly Mike Warnke was part of this. But I was listening to musicians like Keith Green and albums with Christian music. But Mike Warnke is the still apparently best-selling of all time. This is a small pond that he is the biggest fish in, but he's the best-selling Christian comedian of all time.
Oh my God!
I haven't seen anyone who's contested that.
Right.
And I don't know who it would be.
That's so weird.
Unless you count like Jeff Foxworthy.
Right. Yeah, because there are a bunch of people who can go on a Christian tour because they don't swear.
Right.
But like it's just a clean tour. That's not necessarily. Yeah, that's interesting. Because I was, as usual, flipping through the records. I'm like, comedy, who the fuck is... Every once in a while, there would be a who the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And if it's cheap enough, I'm not going to spend $20 on something I've never heard of. But if it's cheap enough, I'll nab it. And I nabbed it. And before I put it on, I just Googled the guy, and I'm like, okay. I could tell he was probably religious.
He rewards a Google search.
Oh, yeah, he does. I'm like, okay, he's a religious comedian. Fine, I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
And then I pop it on. I didn't look at the rest of his article on Wikipedia. Pop it on.
Oh, that's good. That's good to listen to it without knowing what happens.
And honestly, he's a really good storyteller.
Absolutely.
I think he's very funny.
Which he says like right from the outset. He says like, hey, I'm not a preacher or anything, but I'm a real good storyteller.
Yeah.
He's got a little bit of the twang.
Does,
I don't know where it comes from, but
me neither.
A little bit of the twang.
And there are all these stories about just like, just chilling out on campus and how I just, he was a Satanist, he says, right?
Yes.
Not just a Satanist.
He was like a high priest.
High priest.
He says at one point in that album that he has had a coven of like 1,500 people.
Yeah.
It's so, there's so many points, and I know we haven't gotten to this yet, but there's so many points at which you just know, oh, well, that's not true.
Right.
That can't be true. But you're saying it, and he would do it for comedic effect, and it was very funny.
Yeah.
So he would say things like, I don't know, oh, there's this big guy and he's so big his knuckles are dragging on the ground. Okay, we know that's not true.
Of course, right?
It's not literally true. Oh, I knew this little nun. Oh, but she wasn't little. She was like 6'3". Maybe not.
Right. It's just Well,
I've been listening to Steve Allen. I'm a little skeptical.
He's very charming.
Yes.
He's a guy who, I'm not a religious guy. I wasn't raised too religious, but I'm like, you know what? Cool.
You get a pass.
I'm glad you're having fun. I'm glad you're enjoying your religion. You're being a cool dude.
Yeah, so he's talking constantly about all the terrible things he did as a Satanist, but then how Jesus kind of crept into his life through all these holy rollers.
Mm-hmm.
And and so he'll make kind of these claims. Again, the raised little red flags here and there. Like he said that he's been like cutting people's fingers off. He says that
he's a big drug dealer. We didn't mention that. He's a big drug dealer.
So we don't know the finger cutting was for drug purposes or for satanic ones. But then he has like the Campus Crusade for Christ person come talk to him, and he says, "Oh, I wanted to punch that guy, but I couldn't. Like there was an angel holding my arm back." And they said, and I tried to swear at him. I tried to say, "You filthy bat," and I couldn't say the word.
God,
it's so entertaining.
It is like it's just like I'm even like, okay, I get that that's his skew, but he's telling these in such an entertaining way that I'm like, I'm not bothered listening to the story. Now, I'm trying to remember what my perspective was. Like, was I buying the Satanist thing? I don't know.
Yeah. Now this is exactly the kind of thing though that Christians were primed for and they wanted to hear.
Yeah, of course.
So he was speaking their language and giving them exactly what they wanted, which was this fear of Satan active, roaming and roaring like a lion. I can't even say it. Roaring like a lion, which is the phrase from Scripture, and doing all these horrible things. And there was, I think this helped in big ways. He had this book called Selling Satan.
Yes.
That was his personal story that really the comedy album is kind of a retelling of. And I think that directly led to the satanic panic of the 80s, where you had, all these people fearful of, like the McMartin case. I don't know if you've heard of this one.
Is that the Metallica one? Or not Metallica? Is that one of the bands?
There was one with, there was like a preschool where all the kids were telling these stories about their teachers abducting them and doing satanic rituals.
Oh, wow. No, I didn't know about this one.
Oh, yeah. It's this famous case in regards to false memories.
Okay.
So you had all these kids telling these stories, and they got more and more outlandish. Oh, yeah, the teachers took us up in a plane, and they were dressed like clowns. And like, what, on a teacher's salary? They were doing all this?
Right.
And all these things that clearly could not be true. But yet they took this, and, people got put in jail, and it became this big media sensation.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah. So there was this huge satanic panic throughout the 80s, and I feel like, Mike Warnke and his ministries was a direct conduit towards this. So here's a fun connection for me.
Okay.
I think another route to that was a guy named Bob Larson.
Okay.
Who we've done a podcast on.
Okay.
He's an exorcist.
Oh, yes.
Bob Larson, the exorcist. He's people always want to know, is he Catholic then? No, he's Protestant, but he'll wear like the little collar oftentimes to look Catholic. And so he goes around the world casting out demons. And Carrie and I have attended one of his ceremonies. There might be an update in the future. I'm not going to say too much on this front, but I'll have to tell you some off air.
All right,
it's pretty awesome. But Bob Larson. Anyway, so he had written books on the occult and had been good friends with Mike Warnke and sort of backed him up later on when Mike Warnke's story sort of came into question. So maybe we should talk about that.
We should. I want to point out like the one thing that is so. Have you ever heard of the Ungame?
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Oh, we had it. My mom loved it because she got to talk about herself for forever. Oh my God! It's so rare that I hear people refer to the Ungame.
He's the Ungame of comedians. He's like, isn't Jesus great? Jesus is so cool. And I'm listening. I'm like, yeah, Jesus is kind of cool.
Yeah,
you're right. I'm not ever going to be religious, but I'm on board with you, buddy. You're pretty cool.
Oh, the Ungame with the cheerful chalet.
Yeah. And then there's just one card, the do your thing card. Which is the do whatever you... Do I still have it? I feel like I gave it away because I did own it for a while.
Oh, wow.
Because I bought it in high school as an ironic gift for myself, and I'm like, this is the best.
I should eBay that just to haunt myself from my past. Because I was trying to get away from the Endgame. Because, again, my mom would use this as cheap therapy where, there's, first of all, no way to win this game.
No.
You each have
no, you can't. That'd be...
You each have a little plastic piece that looks like the Sorry, game board piece. And you're moving along this board, and it's got little locations where you stop by, and they're all nice little chateaus or, there's like a scary forest, I remember. But anyway, so that you pick one of 4 cards, and it prompts you to talk about something in your life or share the time when you were most scared or whatever it may be. Or do your own thing.
Do your own thing.
Which oftentimes my sister and I would get up and we'd just like do like a funk a dance. Oh, I'm doing my own thing. Oh, okay, your turn.
It's this place where Christian culture tries to co-opt hippie culture just to make everybody like cool with Christian culture again. Totally like, we're not square. We're not square. Look. We make crafts too.
And Mike Warnke is the endgame of comedians.
100%.
That is 100% right. Correct.
So let's talk about what happens after this album.
Yeah. So he goes around. He's telling the story everywhere about how he was drugged out and he was performing all these ceremonies, but then he goes to the military and he gets converted for Jesus. And so then people start looking into this story and trying to see, can we talk to people from his past?
Sure.
Does this check out? He also has problems with, he's now divorced a couple wives, I think, at least one. And he's had some domestic abuse problems on his part. And so other people in the ministry are starting to worry a little bit about him, have little interventions. Hey, Mike, I need to get this under control. But then I think it was Cornerstone magazine, a Christian magazine, did an expose on him. And so they went back and they found photos of him in the time period where he's supposed to have, hair down to his waist and, be a total junkie. And he's just looking like your regular Christian kid because he was already a Christian. And the story does not pan out on any number of levels. Turns out, when you listen to the album, you're like, oh, you're making stuff up. And you realize, he's just a compulsive liar.
Do I remember right that his defense was like, but still the point's the same, right? Like the end game's kind of the same. Like, still, we all need to find Jesus, though. Isn't that the point?
Yeah, and then he wrote like a book about the church backstabbing its own, shooting its own.
Oh my!
But yeah, he got exposed. But that's the thing with these charlatans. I like him, but he's a charlatan. Is that they get exposed and then they find a way to come back, and so he's still got a ministry going on.
Yeah.
He still gives talks, and now he'll talk about the church shooting its own or whatever it may be. Sometimes I think he'll still talk about his past. Yeah, you got me off on a rabbit trail on this one. I was watching other of his performances. There's a great deconstruction of his background story by someone I think who's a pagan.
Interesting.
Of some sort that did a really good job of pulling his story apart as well. That's on YouTube.
That's cool.
I think it's called World of Warnke Craft. So I recommend that to anyone who wants to kind of get the skinny on his story. But yeah, like people like him have come back. People like Peter Popoff. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yeah, I remember you talking about him on the show.
Yeah, he was a flim flam guy who would bring in packed crowds of audiences and he'd do the faith healing thing.
Yeah.
But then James Randi, who we mentioned earlier, exposed him on Johnny Carson's show. Who was the third inheritor to the Tonight Show. Well, look at all these connections here. So they showed that Peter Popoff was wearing a hearing aid, which is weird because if he can heal people with God's power, why is he wearing a hearing aid? And he's getting messages from his wife up in the booth. And all they did was they brought a radio scanner and they found the frequency.
Oh, yes, that's right. Okay, yeah.
Upon which they were communicating. And so then they recorded Peter Popoff's conversations with his wife, the one-way conversation, and the wife saying, "Oh, I need you to walk over to that lady," and sometimes using racial epithets and all kinds of really awful, horrible stuff, and bilking these people for their money using a confidence scam. But the whole point was people like him come back as well. So he was exposed, humiliated, claimed bankruptcy, and now he's back selling miracle water.
It's boy, oh boy.
Unsinkable rubber ducks is what James Randi calls them.
I need to find... Okay, but there's also one other thing with Mike Warnke, which was, if I remember correctly, also a bit of a, just pretty much obviously taking a whole lot of money from his... if I'm not mistaken, that's also part of what he does. He takes a good deal of money from his followers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like in millions.
Yeah.
That his... it's the same sort of pattern where
kind of thing,
the ministry will have millions of dollars, but then they'll always be claiming financial ruin, and bankruptcy, and I need more. You need to help Jesus get his mission done.
Of course. Well, I mean, Jesus needs your money, Ross. So if you're not giving your money to Jesus, what you're wasting it.
Why can't he get money on his own?
You know, that like if he can turn water into wine.
Right. Why can't he
sell that wine? Jesus Vineyards? Holy shit.
Yeah. Why don't you turn carbon dioxide into dollars?
That's a very good point.
That could help the world.
That's a really good point. Can somebody make that painting, please? You've got more of a following, by the way. So your following could at least like make us that painting. So if anybody's listening who's a No Ross and Carrie
I love it. Whenever we mention something like that, we've got all these amazing artists and poets who respond with cool stuff.
You know, it's so funny. Nobody does that for this show. Like, I've got more people listening to this show than my other podcast, but I've got one about news radio.
All right, get on it, artists.
Yeah, right? I've got one fan about news radio, though, or one fan of our news radio podcast who draws shit all the time, including,
awesome.
one of the characters we keep proposing is a serial killer, and he made this amazing poster of him as a serial killer, and it's so good. So good.
I love it.
But yeah, I love discovering. The thing is, whenever I discover these small artists, it's usually like they're usually locally distributed.
Mm-hmm.
They're not normally the best-selling Christian comedian of all time.
Right.
And normally they're like, okay, this is a fun little highlight of a period of time. Or like, for instance, I found one guy who was not a child star, but a children's television show star in Detroit, who had a stand-up album. One side is pretty beautifully sung music, and the other side is him kind of being a homophobe and a bunch of just like really shitty, just like, hey, this stuff plays in the sticks, so this is what I'm going to do on my. But you rarely find something like this where this guy's got a whole backstory connected to a quote unquote comedy. I won't say quote unquote. It is a funny album.
It is.
It's a genuinely funny album.
Absolutely.
If you didn't know what was going on behind the scenes, you'd be like, oh, I get it.
And even knowing what was going on behind the scenes
funny.
and suspecting it, I was thinking, oh yeah, but great presentation. He knows how to turn the phrase. It's funny. A lot of his humor is clearly like relying on you seeing his impressions and facial expressions and body posture. And so he'll say, and the guy is looking at me like this, and then you hear the audience laugh. And so all you can do is picture Mike Warnke, who has kind of a weak chin, long hair, interesting looking fellow. So all you are left with is your imagination of what it must have looked like to the live audience. But still, it's funny and engaging.
I'm now realizing I'd probably have to play him if they made a biopic of him. You said weak chin, and I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. Give me a second. It's either that or I have to play Paul Giamatti, because that's what I get all the time.
Paul Giamatti.
I hate that. People say that every time. I figure if I bring it up first, then I've got control.
Okay, I love it.
Now Mike Warnke, though. I'll play Mike Warnke.
Okay.
In a movie, unless he kills me.
Yeah, yeah, but he's still active, still doing his
weird.
thing.
That's so weird.
Yeah, he's an interesting looking fella. I wouldn't describe you the same way.
Okay, good. There we go. I'll take that.
Good looking fella.
It's weird though to be so desperate that you have to keep coming back. I mean, I say that, and I'm an artist, so you keep making art regardless. So
we're podcasters. We've got faces for radio.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But like to come back to like a scam, a religious scam over and over again. You know what I mean? Yeah. As your thing. This is the one thing I know. Only way I know how to make money. Isn't that weird? That's sad.
It's sad, and you vacillate between feeling bad for that person and feeling bad for their victims.
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
And of course, you always end up on the victim side. But it's probably a tortured soul in the middle of all this.
When at the same time, he could have just. I mean, if he just stuck with Christian comedy, what a cool dude he'd be.
Right. Yeah, and there would be nothing to stop him. But he used that satanic story as a crutch, and then he's committed to it because he said all these things that are just clearly not true.
Yeah. It's insane.
That was fascinating. It was really fun to fall down that rabbit hole.
It's a fun dichotomy. The two people that you've picked for this particular episode.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if your intention was to have that, but I mean, it is the ultimate skeptic.
We found the connection.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it so much. I guess I didn't ask. On the Warnke album, is there something that stands out for you, like as a particularly funny or well told story that was like, oh no, this is pretty good?
Oh, I mean, I love as a purveyor of bad puns, I love some of the silly wordplay. Like he'd say things like, oh, and there's this guy who's all strung out on pot, and he would say wow, and they'd say wow to this, and you'd look over there, and you'd walk up to him and say wow, and then he'd even say it backwards, wow.
Right. Yep.
But
of course,
terrible, but I loved it.
Yeah. It's enjoyable. Again, there's bits of joy in there too.
And something that we do with the podcast, because we've only got the sounds of our voices, Carrie and I, droning on about whatever it is we've done, we have to rely on our descriptions of people.
Sure.
And that's something that Mike Warnke is really good at, you know, and it's obviously farcical and caricatured, but it does paint a really clear mental image. So he excels at that.
That's absolutely true. Do you, bless you, we have a sneeze in the room. Of these two albums, would you actually, because normally towards the end, I'm like, why recommend this album? Would you recommend people listen to both these? And would you recommend them, like, what information do you think people should have before they listen to them?
So yes to both.
Okay.
There's so much fun stuff to interact with when it comes to Steve Allen. I'd recommend checking out some YouTube clips.
Absolutely.
A lot of stuff got destroyed, which is really sad. But you can still find a few things. And it's a fun callback to an earlier, simpler time, but still with very clever minds involved. So I highly recommend Steve Allen's album, Funny Phone Calls, and Mike Warnke. Yeah, but knowing the story makes it so much better. Yeah. So listen to the album, then read up on his backstory in more detail. Yeah. And then maybe listen again.
I think so. That's kind of perfect. Well, thank you for doing the show.
Thank you.
I would love to have you back if there's ever anything you want to talk about. You're an animator. We could talk about a soundtrack to an animated movie just as an excuse to talk about it.
I'm in.
We've done it. I mean, Lauren Bouchard talked about Robin Hood for an hour, and it was amazing.
Well, you know, it's funny. I was just talking with Carrie the other day about our favorite moments, because we'll often, after an investigation, recount our favorite moments. And she was asking me, you know, like, what would be my favorite moment in all of the time we've been investigating. And that was too hard a question for me to answer. But she had one, which is when we were at a Raelian Happiness Academy. Raelian's, it's a UFO. I was going to say cult. No, I'll say cult. It's cult. Definitely. And they had us in this deep meditation. They were having us picture the embassy that they're going to build in Israel. Turns out Israel won't let them. So wherever they get to build this embassy, they're going to wait for the aliens to come back in 2035, I think is the target date. And so then this music starts coming up, new music during the meditation, and it is from the Lion King soundtrack. And they're playing, like, you know, like as the rain starts to fall when Simba comes back, they're starting to play that music. And da 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 da. And Carrie and I lose our shit. We start chuckling. We can't look at each other because we both know this is from the Lion King.
So good.
You've come up to the Lion King. So that's what you made me think of.
Oh, that's so fucking great. I love it. This is going to come out in a few weeks. I wish I had a specific date, but I'm lost right now. So where can people find you? What do you want to promote, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Oh, yeah. Well, check out our ongoing adventures. I think we'll probably still be in the middle of our Rhythmia investigation, which is where I go take ayahuasca in Costa Rica and nearly die. At least as far as I know, I'm nearly dying. And it's a wild story. You can find us at MaximumFun.org. So we live there with Jesse Jordan Go and Bullseye and all those fun shows. So you can find us there, onopodcast.com as well. We have Twitter, Ono Podcast, and Facebook is a really good place to interact with us. We post lots of cool stuff. Facebook.com/ONRAC, ONRAC.
Awesome. Are you on Twitter yourself? Did you already say that?
Nah, I'm a lame wad.
Damn it, Ross.
I've been avoiding the whole Twitter thing. Every now and then I feel like, I should do it. And then I remember, like, it's the I don't know, the platform for Donald Trump. Do I want to dignify Twitter?
You know, I see what you're saying.
At some point I will, but nope.
You never talk about the I don't know if you're ever allowed to, but can you talk about any of the Disney projects you're working on that are coming out?
I can. There are certain things I can say, and I'm very well aware of what I'm allowed to talk about. So I can say we are working on Wreck-It Ralph 2 right now. Yeah, Ralph Breaks the Internet is the actual title, and Wreck-It Ralph 2 is the subtitle. Yeah, I was such a fan of the first Wreck-It Ralph. And really, I am a fan of what we do at Disney Animation Studios because I think we've been hitting it out of the park lately. So, yeah, look for that coming. We've also announced a Frozen 2. So this is weird. Our last official sequel would have been The Rescuers Down Under back in 1990.
Oh my God.
We did make a Winnie the Pooh film that I directly worked on in 2011, but it's not technically
It's not
a
like
sequel or anything.
Sure.
So yeah, we don't consider ourselves a sequel house. But all of those kind of spin-off movies, Mulan 2 and everything, which came up in an investigation that was crazy. It was like touted by one of the churches we interacted with as like the mind control for the youth. The Mulan 2, hilarious. Those were done by kind of a different division.
Okay.
So now we've got 2 in a row, and then we go back to some original stuff. But
that's crazy.
Yeah, look for that.
Holy shit, Rescuers Down Under. Oh my God.
I love that movie.
Oh yeah, no, it's great.
I was raised on. I know a lot of people get snooty about it. I think it was great.
No, I think the last one I saw in theaters was it was whatever's before Pocahontas. Like at some point they started to drop off.
Lion King was right before
Jesus
Pocahontas.
Christ, yeah. So Lion King was the
so
last
funny.
one
Everybody working on those 2 films wanted to work on Pocahontas. That was the luxury, cruise liner. That was the film. That was the film that was going to change the world. Lion King was just this weird little offshoot thing. You can never tell where these things are going. We felt that way about Frozen. Like we had no idea it was going to blow up the way. it did.
Yeah.
No idea.
That's amazing. That's funny. Well, thank you again for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Everybody, I don't know what the hell to promote. You know what? I mentioned it earlier. Listen to Dispatches from Fort Awesome, a news radio podcast. I have so much fun doing that show. I have fun doing this show, but like that's like a weird side nerd thing. So if you like this show, News Radio, or if you've never even seen it, it's still a fun show. Got some really awesome interviews coming up. So I don't know. Listen to that. Well, that's about it. Thank you guys for listening. And as always, have a good thing. Comedy on Vinyl is a production of StolenDress Entertainment. It is produced by Mike Warden and is hosted and edited by Jason Klamm. Our theme song was composed and performed by Richard Levinson. Please visit StolenDress.com to listen to our other podcasts, read our blogs, read our tweets, watch our videos, and read our books. Please subscribe on iTunes, and if you like us, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. You can find us on Facebook.com/ComedyOnVinyl, Twitter @ComedyOnVinyl, and find everything else at ComedyOnVinyl.com. A major portion of Comedy on Vinyl has been underwritten by Stand Up Records. Please visit StandUpRecords.com for all your comedy needs and tune into the new Stand Up channel available on the Roku, where you can also find select episodes of this podcast.